Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fandom Post Radio Podcast. I am your engineer, Kate, and joining me for this episode is Brandon.
Hello.
And Kestrel.
Yo.
Small crew this week before Christmas. We are going to try to bang through some of the news that came out of Jump Festa and other situational events surrounding, and we will have the lads here talk about some other stuff that they've been watching. We will save the season wrap for when the season actually wraps, because we are not there yet. At least not for the few things I am watching. And Kane's not here. So, let's just jump right into this and get this underway. News.
Yeah, so a couple of pieces of news from Jump Festa. Well, lots of news, but lots of stuff that I don't really care about because it's just kind of the normal news you expect. So the big pieces of news that I collected here. First one, we're getting more Chainsaw Man anime, but it is going the route of Demon Slayer Mugen Train, trying to get that theatrical money, because it is going to be a feature film for the next arc, the Reze arc.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I feel like, at least in terms of like Mappa and their scheduling, I mean, it might be better. I feel like a lot of people don't like it, and I understand if they go the same route as Demon Slayer and they just like make the movie and then make the movie into episodes.
Right.
Which, if they do that, that isn't great, because I don't know. I don't mind it in a movie format if it means just like a more cohesive thing for this specific act of the manga, I guess. Because I feel like it is like about feature length in the content that it would be covering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think like the Mugen Train thing, it made sense that they did it because, I mean, not only can they kind of milk it for more, but, you know, people who are just watching a series like to be able to just watch a series and not have to be like, oh no, in between seasons 1 and 2, you got to watch this movie, and then you got to do this. So, you know, when it exists in that episodic form throughout, then it's a lot easier to just binge through and be like, okay, season 1, season 2, season 3.
That's fair. I feel like it makes it harder to approach when it's like, oh, you're telling me I have to watch this one, and then a movie, and then a spin-off OVA, and then the third season.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get that. I think I didn't talk about the Demon Slayer news. I wished that Kane was on here because I knew that he fell victim to the trick last time, which is what, you know, Demon Slayer did the Mugen Train thing. Of course, it was the most successful Japanese film of all time. And then it made it into episodes, and, you know, arguably maybe the movie would not have made as much money if everyone knew that it was going to be TV episodes anyway. So I feel like they couldn't pull that trick again, and maybe that's why for, you know, the subsequent arc we just got TV, but then the arc after that we got a movie, quote unquote, which is really just let's throw the last 2 episodes of the previous season and the first episode of the next season on a theater screen a few weeks before it's on TV. And even that, without like any effort at all, they didn't even cut out like openings and endings, even that was absurdly successful. So that proved to them that like, oh shit, we can just do that every time now. And so they're doing that again for the next arc. So I think, yeah, like Demon Slayer can fucking get away with anything.
That's crazy.
I am curious to see if Chainsaw Man does the like, split it up into episodes afterwards for, you know, that kind of consistent TV format if people want to binge it.
And from what I know, the next arc of Demon Slayer is like a training arc. That just that's some rancid behavior.
The best thing is like, last time, because the last couple arcs have been like, the entertainment district arc, the swordsmith village arc. And so, they're like arcs named after locations. And so for the not movie, that was the last 2 episodes of the entertainment district arc and the first episode of the swordsmith village arc. They gave it the title To the Swordsmith Village. That makes sense, right? Sure. So for the next arc, it's called the Hashira Training Arc. And so they called it To the Hashira Training.
No,
which
dude.
makes no fucking sense.
Oh, that's actually
Like I said,
didn't
Demon
think it
Slayer
could
can
be
get away
that
with
bad.
anything.
Yeah. Yikes. Okay.
We'll see if
I wish
anyone.
Kane was here for that one.
I know. I'm gonna repeat it again when he's on. I'm gonna find some excuse to call it a news story again.
Nice.
Maybe when the American dates are announced or something. Yeah.
Is that supposed to be for next season?
It's gonna be the same as this year. So they're gonna have like a world tour event where they premiere it. It's not gonna be in LA this time. I think New York's gonna be the only US stop this time. But that's, I think, going to be in February. And then, I'm not sure exactly the dates, but I think roughly February for that event, and then March for the theatrical run, and then April for the TV broadcast.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, any other thoughts on Chainsaw Man? I will mention, since I don't know if you know this, I have read this arc and several volumes after it. I'm not caught up or through the first part of Chainsaw Man, but I read through this arc, and I think I'm up through like volume 9. Shit has gotten insane, so I can say that much.
Yeah, I'll refrain from talking about specifics because I don't know. It's been a while at this point where that would be, but no, yeah, I think this is I'm like really looking forward to this arc, and I feel like it is the beginning of, when the fan base has been like hyping up what's happening. Like this is like one of the first major, not one of the first. Like there was lots of good stuff in the first season, but it really starts ramping up.
Yeah.
After this part.
Yeah, I definitely got that impression after I got past the material that the anime has covered, and especially into the post this next arc material. I was like, okay, this is something special now. We'll see.
Yeah. Did they give a air date for that?
I don't think there's any release info announced, just that it will exist.
Okay.
But yeah, hopefully MAPPA takes their fucking time, lets their people not kill themselves. Questionable. Unlikely.
I don't know. I thought JJK was gonna maybe like go on break or strike or some shit, but they put out an episode every week.
Yeah, they need
Despite
to.
animators being very sad.
Yeah, they need to stop. Let's see, what do they have coming up? All right, they got another season of Hell's Paradise. They got the Watanabe show. They got this. I don't see a ton of other huge stuff on their plate right now. Oh, they got a new original series by Utsumi, the director of Skate the Infinity and Banana Fish and Free.
Are we also getting Skate the Infinity Part 2 or something?
Yeah, that's Bones.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, at the moment, they don't seem quite as packed as they seemed at the beginning of this year. So fingers crossed that they won't completely self-destruct. But yeah, things need to change real fast. And I mean, it's a movie, and there was a Yuri on Ice movie announced about 100 years ago.
Oh, God,
and we still don't have any kind of date for that, so you never know. Maybe it will just never get made.
Yeah, that's probably never happening now at this point.
That's crazy. Was it supposed to be a sequel or like a condensation of the show?
But boy, if it was a compilation film and they haven't released it after 7 years, they got a lot of problems.
That's
Yeah, emotional story.
That's funny. Okay. Oh, that's sad actually. But
Yeah.
At one point, that show broke the internet, and look at now.
That
Yeah.
show single-handedly got one of my college friends into ice skating, and now she is way into ice skating.
That's
Like
awesome.
she goes out and ice skates and stuff, and like she had students that were drawing her like Yuri on Ice fan art and stuff. Once upon a time. Now the kids that are in her classes probably never even heard of the show. So
Damn.
Yeah. Okay. So, how can I make
do
this
you
transition?
want to leave
I got
item 589 till like the end?
589. Okay, we can do that. Yeah, I got a lot to say about that. Okay, skipping the other big Jump Festa announcement that I want to talk about. Here's another fun thing that happened. So on Thursday night, I got a massive box set that cost $4 from Crunchyroll. That was the ultimate collector's edition of all of Code Geass that has ever existed and will ever exist. All the anime, both TV seasons, all 4 movies, the spin-off OVA series, all of that packaged in a nice big fancy box, all these nice physical extras for lots and lots of money, taking up lots and lots of space, super deluxe. By Monday morning, we had 4 more Code Geass films announced.
Oh my god. Speaking of a series that's hard to follow. Holy shit.
Yeah, so we got technically there had been something announced about this a while ago, I guess, and people just thought they kind of forgot about it. But yeah, it is going to be called Code Geass Rose of the Recapture. So I guess another kind of spin-off like Akito the Exiled. I think they said it was going to take place after the Lelouch, the Resurrection, whatever. And it is going to be released in 4 parts theatrically starting in May 2024.
Whew.
Yep.
Anime movies on the come up for sure.
And I don't care. I'll see it in theaters. We didn't get the Resurrection film in theaters. I guess it would have been COVID time by the time it would have come out here. But I'm sure we'll get this in theaters. They just announced the Great Pretender movie sequel. I guess that might be just a movie at this point. I thought it was going to be a series, but that got announced for its US states today. So we're getting that in theaters. I'm sure we'll get a new Code Geass film tetralogy in theaters, no doubt. I'll go see it, but I don't care about anything Code Geass after the original series. Even the Lelouch of the Resurrection sequel film is specifically a sequel to the compilation movie trilogy, which didn't even get dubbed. And the reason why it's specifically a sequel to that movie trilogy is because some of the things that movie trilogy cuts out include major character deaths, which, those characters are just alive in the new movie. So it doesn't really make sense to just watch it after the TV series. So
basically pulled a rebuild.
Yeah, except, the material is literally just the series chopped up and, with the pacing you'd expect from that, turning 50 episodes into 3 hour-and-a-half movies.
That's wild. Yeah, I understand not caring because, that series had such a perfect ending. It's all right, anything you give me after this is just, icing, and I don't care anymore.
And, the Lelouch of the Resurrection was, the dumb fucking fan fiction post-Code Geass ending that people on the internet were writing. Because, what if Lelouch comes back? And they in addition to some of the characters not dying and being awkwardly inserted into scenes where they shouldn't have been near the end of the last of those three movies, they also changed the ending slightly to kind of support where that was going and like fan theories that have, been going since 2009 or whatever.
Where have I heard that one before? Cough, cough. Attack on Titan Requiem. Cough, cough.
Mm.
Yeah, so that was I don't know, kind of the most shameless cash grab I can imagine. And it's all still good, but nothing as good as the series was anyway. So like even if it didn't kind of make no sense to watch, it's like, yeah, like you said, it's the perfect ending. Why would I need anything else? So I don't care about these new movies. I think the Akito spin-off OVAs were the only part of the Code Geass franchise in terms of anime that was just straight up not worth watching. So if this is another spin-off with another new main character, then I like really don't care. Especially since Code Geass shouldn't have worked. Like it should have been a total disaster. But it just barely managed to like make all of these incongruous elements work together in like the perfect chemistry. And that's like a lightning in a bottle, one time only thing. You can't keep doing that. And, those creators have worked together in other projects and they've been the disasters that Code Geass should have been. So I kind of expect that from any spin-off, even within that universe at this point.
Honestly, that makes me feel like I'd be more intrigued if they announced a live-action Code Geass than just like another filler movie.
Well, don't worry, they're live-actioning everything, so I'm sure it won't be long.
Yeah, that feels like more of a reality we could live in nowadays.
Yeah, I'm sure live-action Code Geass will be announced by Netflix in the next 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, anyway, fucking sucks to be you, Crunchyroll. I guess it sucks to be us as the consumer, but whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, Kate, you put a Hunter x Hunter fighting game on this.
Hunter x Hunter fighting game. We know nothing else other than that is being developed by Bushiroads and aiding, probably mostly aiding, because Bushiroads just doesn't do that. It's been a minute since we've had an actual Hunter x Hunter game of any sort. Most of the Hunter x Hunter, I just had to do a quick check. Hunter x Hunter has mostly been showing up on other people's stuff, or like, like phone games. Or,
has there been any Hunter x Hunter games released in English even besides like you said, them showing up in stuff like Jump Force?
I don't think
not.
so. I mean, we're talking back in like the last time they actually had like some real games that weren't on the phone or weren't, cameos and other games were like way back in like the Wonder Swan days and PSP days. It's like
yeah,
sometimes I forget how long Hunter x Hunter has been around, and then I see like they had like 12 Wonder Swan games. I'm like, of course it did.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, Hunter x Hunter was nothing in the US before the remake series, so anything that came before that would have had no chance. And I felt like even as I was watching the remake air, it really didn't hit. I feel like it took a few years, and now it's gotten like huge in the US. Yeah. But I don't know, it was some post-airing boom that happened that just wasn't there before. So yeah, no chance we would have gotten any license back in the day.
No, I don't think people in the U.S. even really acknowledged the 90s show.
Yeah. Like, Viz did a very brief little release of it that no one really cared about, and they certainly didn't care about. And yeah, it's still, I mean, it certainly hasn't been re-released in any way. You can't get it legally in any way now. And, it's one of those shows where, like, the remake covered all of the material that it covered. All it had that was different were, a few filler episodes here and there and a different aesthetic, obviously. So, like, there's probably not a huge motivation to bring that out because the 2011 series goes way farther.
Yeah. Wonder if we'll be talking about more anime remakes. I think it is
Yeah.
funny though that like the main reaction to this game announcement is very like trepid excitement because it's basically boiling down to, is it going to be another shitty arena fighter or is it going to be like a true fighting game? And people are just like not sure yet.
Yeah, I mean, like most video games based on manga and anime series tend to not be particularly good, right?
Yeah, I think most people are dragging that JJK one through the mud. I don't even know if it's out yet, but like every time they show something, everyone's like, wow, that looks like ass.
Yeah, that's kind of the standard. Like, I think Dragon Ball Fighters was like the one big exception, right?
Yeah, and that's because it was made by like a premier fighting game studio.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I think that Bushiroad Games, I feel like they've made like some legit 2D fighters from what I remember.
I never think of Bushiroad as like, I don't know, legitimate video games.
Or maybe
I
not
think
Bushiroad, maybe it's the other half of it.
Aiding's worked on a lot of jump games, fighting games. Mostly Naruto and crap, I just had that list up. Of course I would close it. Of course I would close that.
Oh yeah, they worked on like the Clash of Ninja games and oh yeah, okay, so that's why I remember seeing them. They worked on like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and DNF Duel they helped make, which is like one of the newer big anime fighters. Okay, so like it's a chance. It'll be good.
Hey, they made Pikmin 4. Or co-developed Pikmin 4. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Their whole list is mostly like fighting games, and then it's like Pikmin 4. Mercenary Studio.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where everyone will just hold their breath until they see any of it. So
it probably won't be terrible, but it probably won't be anything to write home about.
Yeah.
Unless it's somebody over there's passion project, then all bets are off.
Yeah, I mean, like how many decades of Dragon Ball Fighter? How many decades of Dragon Ball based fighting games did we get before there was the one that everyone's like, "Whoa, this is actually a fucking great fighting game."
Yeah.
The thing is, Hunter x Hunter has such a great cast of like fighters with weird shit going on. You know, like it's like there's so many interesting characters, and they look interesting, and they could be so interesting.
Mm-hmm. It has the potential, that's for sure.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of anime games, they just kind of reskin existing engines, and they're like, yeah, they'll buy it. We slapped Hunter x Hunter on.
Yeah.
So, if they don't do that and they actually like build something from the ground up based on like the world of Hunter x Hunter, then maybe it has a chance, but doubt.
Very, very much doubt.
Okay. Yeah. So speaking of Hunter x Hunter, so that remake series, you know, I always talk about how amazing it is, how it's like the gold standard for, you know, the shonen adaptation, right? Like, you know, back in the day, we'd get all of these, you know, kind of low quality, varying quality, filler filled, kind of just shovel them out shonen adaptations that go on forever to just always be on the air. And Hunter x Hunter was like the perfect version of, you know, high quality, just passion project, putting all of the effort into it to make it as perfect as possible. All the pacing exactly how you'd want it because they have so much material to adapt. And I always dreamed of that for all of these old series that, you know, were made in the era where we didn't have that kind of treatment, like your Dragon Balls and your One Pieces. And, you know, Dragon Ball, I thought maybe it had a chance. Like, we got Kai, which is not a thing worth talking about at all. Like, any idiot with a video editing program could make Dragon Ball Kai, right? There's nothing new to that. and it was kind of sloppily done, honestly. And I figured based on that, like, man, Toei has such a grip on these properties. Toei's never going to let any of them go. It's never going to let another studio take a crack at Dragon Ball, or any of its properties. And with One Piece, of course, the hope is, let's see if, One Piece ends in another 10 to 20 years. And then, maybe another 10 to 20 years after that, maybe Toei can pry it from their cold dead fingers, and maybe someone else can get a shot at it, and it can get kind of the Hunter Hunter-ish treatment. That would be amazing, because One Piece deserves that. The manga is so great, and an anime adaptation could be so much better than what we got from Toei, which, is very good right now. But it has a lot of very glaring pacing issues because it's been going for 1,000 weeks. And
Dressrosa flashbacks.
Yeah, I mean, like, so many arcs before Wano were so bad. Like, they were some of the weaker material in the manga anyway, but the adaptation was god-awful. The pacing, of course, was bad, and it's still bad because it has to be, because it has to air every week. But it was even worse then somehow because there was just no creativity put into it. It was just, let's, color the manga panels and throw some in-between frames in there and just put in the minimum effort to get this on TV. And that's how it was for hundreds of episodes, and it was awful. And, going back to the beginning, you've got some, 90s material, you've got not HD, you've got 4x3, you've got a great variety of styles, you've got filler arcs in there, some of which interfere with the canon material, so you can't even completely skip them. You've got some changes, some for censorship, some for moving things around, some things cut out entirely. All of these things that, as good as the One Piece anime has gotten, and as great as a lot of the moments are throughout those 25 years, you wish that all those people who want to stick with anime and not go with manga could, really get the same experience that the manga gives you from the beginning. But of course, that would never be possible for One Piece because it would have to end and we'd have to wait all this time. Oh, just kidding. Wit Studios fucking remaking One Piece from the start while Toei is still making it and broadcasting it.
We're going to be doing seasonal anime discussions about One Piece versus The One Piece. Let's go.
The One Piece.
We've had so many things remade, but never while the original thing was still going.
And, like, it's insane to imagine. Like, I still can't believe it. It's been a few days now, and I'm just in shock. Like, I cannot believe that this exists. But
I still have so many questions.
I have all the questions.
A lot of questions. But at the same time, it makes so much sense in so many ways. Because, like, what I talked about with kind of, the very high quality adaptations and certainly, like, the seasonal format is how shonen properties are adapted now. Like, One Piece is from the era of Dragon Ball and through to Naruto and Bleach, where you just had it air forever, and if you had to lower the quality, you lowered the quality. If you had to throw in filler, you threw in filler. If you had to drag out the pacing, you drag out the pacing. And, One Piece never ended, so it's just still doing that. But in that time, all our big hits now are the Demon Slayers and Jujutsu Kaisens, where they're absurdly successful by having extremely high quality adaptations for 1 to 2 cores at a time, once every year or two. And that is the success model now. That's what all the kids expect now. And, One Piece is the biggest shonen property still. It has been for decades. So if you want to get all of those new kids who expect their, very bingeable little seasons of real high quality modern animation for their shonen hits, then you can't tell them to go back to the 90s and watch 1,000 episodes, because that's just not how they consume anime.
You ever had a hard time getting your friends into One Piece because, there's so much of it. I can't read that much. I can't watch that much. Well, that ends now.
And in addition to that, this is coming from Netflix, so it's not going to be exactly the, seasonal model that we get from these other series. It is almost certainly going to be the Netflix binge model where everything's dropped at once. But coming from Netflix and the timing makes it pretty clear that a huge part of the motivation was also, hey, we're Netflix. We just released this live action series. Everyone loved that. They all want to go back to the anime now, but they're all really into this whole idea of the live action series is 8 episodes and it covers all of East Blue. And I don't want to go into 1,000 episodes now, and I want it to be modern, etc. And so I think a huge part of the motivation is this is the anime for the people who got into One Piece from the live action series. And so they get to watch this as their animated companion piece and see it much more briskly paced, question mark, maybe way too briskly paced, and it loses the entire purpose of its existence because you don't actually get the material the way it was presented in the manga at all because they rush way through it. Big question there.
Yeah. Ugh. I feel like my biggest struggle with like coming to terms with what this is going to be is that like what is the long-term plan? Like, are they going to stop at pre-time skip, or is this just going to be like is this like a Netflix 20-year investment that they're trying to bank on? Like, I don't know what the end game is here.
Because that's the thing, like, it can't be 20 years, it has to be 100 years, because Netflix is going to release, like, 5 to 10 episodes a year or two, and we're already 25 years into this anime adaptation that's been, going as fast as it can, releasing an episode every single week. If you release an episode every single week for 25 years and you're still not through the story, then how fucking long is it going to take if you release 10 episodes a year? Like, there's no way they can pace it anywhere near like that and actually get through anything. So, I mean, it's kind of the same question we had for the live action, right? Like, this could last forever. Like, Iñaki could be 100 years old playing Luffy at this rate. How do they make this work? And I doubt they figured it out. So I assume they're just going to continue pumping out seasons of each until each stops being successful. But, how they approach the pacing initially for the One Piece is definitely, like, my biggest concern here, because everything else, brand new adaptation of the One Piece manga from Wit Studios sounds like the impossible dream that I was too afraid to even have.
Yeah.
I have so many questions. Like,
And-
what are the characters gonna look like? Like,
Yeah.
what are the who's gonna be like? Netflix is probably gonna have a new dub for this, which probably means a new dub cast, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Netflix does not have a great track record at retaining Texas dubcasts for their properties. I will say the brief little teaser they gave us, which doesn't have like any animation or anything, does end with Mayumi Tanaka as Luffy. So that heavily implies that the Japanese cast, at least for the Straw Hats, will remain the same.
Interesting. Oh yeah, that was one of the other things I wasn't sure about. They would retain the voice actors.
And they're not getting any younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, just literally I watched an episode today, like I think it was like 1083, so like a week or two ago's episode, and Luffy was sounding a little rough. I was like, he's sounding like a little deeper, like she's not being able to hit that young Luffy voice as well lately, but yeah, I don't know. That is like a long-term investment for like a woman that's not getting any younger.
I mean, she's still like 20 or 30 years younger than Nozawa, and she's still screaming as Goku every year.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, certainly these people will not live forever, and I mean, that's an issue with the first One Piece anime, because who knows how much longer that's going to go on for. But yeah, that's how these things go. Like, the iconic, legendary roles of these, Seiyu going back decades, they don't recast them. Like, it doesn't really matter if they still sound good. They care so much more about retaining the same cast as much as possible, as long as possible, until they, get too ill to do it or die. That's generally what happens.
Yeah. And in terms of that need for continuation too, one of my other main concerns, because I'm trying to see this on both sides, because I've seen already plenty of discourse online about people being like, yes, there needs to be a remake, and other people being like, no, like, why would you do this? It's not even done yet. Like there's such a nostalgia to like the original one and the designs and stuff. The one thing that worries me the most is that Wit Studio is a great studio, and I feel like knowing them from the very beginning, one of their main things they wanted to do was get away from being like stuck on the same rails the whole time. Like one of their big issues was like, we can't keep making Attack on Titan. We need to make original anime or like work on different projects. And that was like a big switch for the company, because after that they made all kinds of other stuff. So like, does doing One Piece means no more things like Vivi and no more other like original works or other adaptations like Vinland Saga and whatnot, which also got moved over?
Yeah, more like how long until Mappa's The One Piece?
Yeah. Oh god.
How long does Wit Studio actually continue this until they're like, I'm bored, I want to make something different. Someone else take this.
Yeah, and or similar to even like what Toei does, like how much of it is going to be like, is this like Wit full frontal doing this, or is it going to be, being able to work on the original like arcs of One Piece? Are they just going to be pulling web animators and people from other studios that are like, feel like this is going to be a prestige project to work on? Like, I don't even know like what the staff is going to look like for this, and that's the only thing that is a little worrying.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Wit Studio has never really done us wrong, right? Like, Mappa's had its ups and downs. I feel like Wit has been remarkably consistent with its output. So I think they care a lot about making sure the quality of whatever they're working on is top notch, and that's why they don't take on 5 to 10 huge projects at a time like Mappa. That's why they're usually doing 0 to 2, mostly 1 at a time. And so, as long as that continues and, they don't want to fuck up One Piece, the One Piece, no less, I think I'm not worried about the quality at all. I think it's going to be probably incredible. I do really worry about Wit Studio continuing, because 3 of their biggest series they've just stopped. So the longest fucking show of all time is probably not the best thing to drop on their laps.
Yeah, that's why when it was Wit, I was like, really?
Yeah.
That was a shocker. But
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, like Toei has, made like TV specials that cover some of this material as well. And so we've gotten like kind of the new animation style for some of it. And that kind of gives me the sense of what this material could feel like if it was totally rushed through. And it's not, a replacement, so it's not something I can recommend to people instead of the manga or instead of the full TV series. So that's why my biggest concern is definitely the pacing, how much they're going to rush through it. If the fact that it's, I think, based entirely on the success of the live action series and Netflix's desire to, give people a good anime companion for that, if they're going to make some of the same changes, like, that's a good live action adaptation for what it's trying to do. But I don't know, for some reason, manga to anime, you don't want these big liberal sweeping changes, right? It just doesn't feel right. So I think there's some concern in me for that as well, that, maybe they want to align it a little bit more with that Netflix story, the live action story, I should say. We now have 2 Netflix One Piece series.
Oh, no.
So yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen with that. Also, I'll mention, Wood Studio, of course, is animating it. In like the copyright for the production committee, it includes, of course, Wood Studio and Netflix and Shueisha and all that. It does include Toei Animation. So even though they are not animating it, this was not just like, snatched out from underneath them. They are involved. They sanctioned it. So that is interesting to see, that, Toei is essentially producing their own simultaneous competition. But, again, like I said, this is what the modern shonen adaptation looks like. And I'm sure they've wanted to do this for years with the success of stuff like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, etc. But, it doesn't seem like Oda's really ever gonna get anywhere close to ending it anytime soon. Especially like this past year, he put out 30 chapters because he was super busy with the live action series and overseeing all this other stuff. And maybe he'll be the same way with the One Piece. So the more non-manga stuff that happens, the less chapters of One Piece we get. And, he has illnesses and gets surgeries and shit because he's 50 and has been, putting out 20 pages of manga. Yeah,
he's forever.
Right. He's been putting out 20 pages of manga every week for 27 years. So, the man needs to rest a little bit. So the more that continues, the slower the pace of the output of One Piece gets. And we all know that, any time that he thinks he knows how long he has left in the series, it just gets exponentially longer and longer. So I think they were like, all right, we need to remake One Piece. It's been a fucking quarter of a century of this one anime adaptation. We just need to do it. We need to pull the trigger. I don't care if this one's still running, whatever. You'll have both. You already have the manga and the anime series and the live action series. What's one more anime series?
Yeah, I think that's one thing a lot of people online don't really understand about it, because there's people that are like, why One Piece? Like, why couldn't you do it for a series that deserves it more? Like, if why does One Piece need the Brotherhood treatment when shows like Soul Eater or Yu Yu Hakusho or whatever, like, they deserve it more, kind of thing. I think what those people don't understand is that One Piece is somehow bigger than it's ever been, even though it's already the biggest thing it ever there ever was. So, like you said, there's a live action now. The anime is at a high point in popularity. It's the manga is as popular as it's ever been. Oda's like original series or his like one-off is like getting an animated series. Like, it's like a snowball effect, and they're like, well, why wouldn't we cash in on this, on all these eyes and clicks and views right now while it's still hot off the presses? And the other thing is why One Piece? Because apparently people want to do it. Like, I don't think Wit's gonna sign up to do a Brotherhood style remake of a show that they don't care about. Like, clearly there are young animators that grew up watching One Piece when they were children, and now they're old enough to be like, I want to be the one who makes the One Piece.
Yeah.
And so they're going to do that. So that's why it's happening right now. It's because it's the One Piece.
Yeah, and, I think Wit, they've had an interesting arc, right? Because, of course, they started as the Attack on Titan studio. They had a few other projects, but then, they wanted to work on original series like Vivi and Great Pretender. And they started, not continuing the big series that they had adapted before. And now, starting last year, when they started adapting Spy Family, that has been a series that they've continued, and that's been such a huge success. that I feel like Wit Studio has kind of become the Spy Family studio. And of course, they're only one of the two Spy Family studios, so that probably eases the burden on them a little bit, which is good. But it does feel like they're kind of like, oh yeah, Jump fans are like real good moneymakers. So maybe if we can keep up these real high quality Jump adaptations, that's our new niche.
Yeah.
So again, because Wit is Wit, I do still think that they will get bored of it after a few seasons at most and be like, something new. Let's make another Suicide Squad isekai.
To be fair, it was pretty funny that Wit was like, we gotta stop making Attack on Titan. And then they went and made Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, which is literally an Attack on Titan clone.
I mean, okay, to be fair on the timeline there, Cabaneri came out before season 2 of Attack on Titan, so Wit still made several seasons of Attack on Titan after that.
Alright, that's fair.
But it is ironic that season 2 of Attack on Titan took so long to make because the staff instead made Cabaneri, which was a blatant ripoff of Attack on Titan.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, here's the real question I have, which is how much of an Ouroboros eating its own tail is this going to end up being? Because we have the original source material, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we had the original anime based off the source material that did changed a lot of things, but it added, a soundtrack that everybody really liked and some other things. And then we have this live action adaptation that came out, but they still crib stuff like the leitmotifs from the music from the first animated series. So are we going to get a situation where it's like Sailor Moon Crystal, where you get a studio trying to redo the original source material to be more true to the source material, but not wanting to let go of the things that gave people nostalgia for the original animated series?
I think, because really music-wise, like it didn't really use any of the leitmotifs from Kohei Tanaka's score. All it did was took the melody of We Are and used that a couple times. And I think that's the right approach. And I think that's probably what this one will do. I think it'll have completely original music. I'd like to put in a request for Yoshihisa Hirano, a friend of the podcast and veteran of long-running, high-quality remake of a great Weekly Shonen Jump manga series, because he composed all of the music for the Hunter x Hunter remake. So I think they're going to have completely new music. I think they have to reference We Are occasionally. But I think, again, it is a new anime adapting the manga One Piece, inspired by the success of Netflix's live-action series also adapting the manga One Piece. That is how I anticipate it going. Of course, I could be completely wrong, but that is what I would expect to see. And I guess to our point earlier, that doesn't, fully pan out with the fact that they're probably going to have the same Japanese cast, right? Like, you can't say it's a completely fresh adaptation because it's got the same voice actors. So, it is like Brotherhood, I guess, in that respect, right? Like, they kept some of the voice actors, in contrast to like Hunter x Hunter, where, those two series were both adaptations of the same material, but none of the same staff, none of the same studios, none of the same cast in Japanese or English. None of the same music cues, anything, did not acknowledge each other's existence whatsoever. They just happen to be two series with the same title and the same content. So yeah, I think it has to acknowledge the fact that another anime by the same studio that is also co-funding this one that's airing at the same time does exist. So yeah, probably be somewhere in between. But I don't think it's going to take the same soundtrack. I don't think it'll make the same changes.
Hey, you know what? This means we're getting a third adaptation of Chopper's story.
Yeah, well,
it'll be the fourth by the time.
It'll be the fourth by the time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm trying to get my friend into One Piece, he's very slowly going through the anime now. And so I was like, hey, so this is happening, so maybe just wait. But I was kind of conveying to him all of the different ways that you can consume East Blue at this point. And I mean, really, it's more than this, even because some of the material has been adapted even more times. But there's the manga, right? And then there's the anime series, the first anime series, subbed. That same anime series dubbed. I mean, technically twice, right? If you want to dig up the 4Kids dub. There's the special edition, which is like an HD upscale that's cropped. So that's another way of watching it. There's the episode of East Blue TV special, and that's, of course, both subbed and dubbed. And then, like I said, some of that even has been adapted more than that, because there's also an episode of Nami TV special that covers the Arlong Park arc. So then that material is adapted even again. And then the live action series, of course, now. And now we're going to get it again with this new series. And I mean, we're all assuming a lot of things logically about this new series. Really, the only thing they've said at all is that it's starting over from East Blue. That doesn't mean it goes past East Blue. That doesn't mean that it, covers it in the same detail. It doesn't mean that it even really follows the same storyline. All they're saying is that we're getting back to East Blue with an anime series. So, yes, there will be 10 ways to consume East Blue in the next year.
First of all, I just want to say a Hirano soundtrack for the remake would be a godsend, because of his Hunter x Hunter soundtrack is so amazing, and I think perfectly fits that call to adventure that
Exactly.
One Piece also needs to sound like.
Exactly.
But I think in terms of what may or may not get adapted, I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because it's going to win. Like the One Piece, any press for it is going to be good press, because if nostalgic things aren't included, people will make a ruckus, and if things are included, they will make a ruckus. So I think just in general, it's gonna be talked about, whether it goes as fresh as it can be, or as strict to the manga as it can be, or as nostalgia baked to the first anime as can be. But I think it wins in any scenario, really, unless it's literally a failure of a production.
Yeah, I mean, One Piece, other than the 4Kids dub, right? One Piece has been this
God.
rare property where kind of everything has been good. Like I mentioned, some arcs of the Toei anime have not been. But with the exception of that, the manga is one of the greatest of all time. The anime has been one of the greatest of all times and is currently better than it's ever been. The live action series is by far the best live action adaptation of anime or manga of all time. And that should have been the most impossible media to adapt it to. So One Piece has been so lucky with adaptations, and the bigger it gets and the more passion people get about it, I think the less of a risk we have that something's going to fail, because how can they let it fail at this point? There's going to be so many eyes on it. Oda is going to be so involved. Shueisha's going to be so involved. So, yeah, I think it's going to be great. Again, my only concern is it might not be the Hunter x Hunter that I've always wanted for One Piece, in that it might not be able to, completely replace the experience of any of these other adaptations or the original. Hunter x Hunter, I think, only enhances the source material in every way and still covers everything in exactly the pacing that you would want it to if you had, decades of material to work through at whatever pace you wanted. And, this has the potential to be that, but who knows with what we've discussed about the fact that, unlike Hunter x Hunter, which, as I always mention, is impossible. It's impossible that show exists. It's impossible that we got that level of quality every week without break for 3 years straight. That's not possible.
That was truly the last hurrah of Madhouse.
I mean, Madhouse is still putting out amazing stuff all the time. Like Freeren right now, Madhouse is still top of their game forever. But no studio, nobody could ever do that. The quality of Hunter x Hunter every single week for 3 years straight without break. That is impossible. Like, Toei does incredible work. Like, since the start of Wano, that's been like 4 years at this point, 4.5 years. And they've had an extremely high standard of quality, especially compared to what they used to. And that's been running every single week. But it's had some off weeks. It has not been like Hunter x Hunter was every single week. Only got better over the course of its run, and it did not have One Piece money. So, yeah, Madhouse was a fucking madhouse when that was airing. I have no idea how they made it happen.
I will agree with you that we've been very lucky in terms of how One Piece has been adapted over the years, but I will say I think we are still waiting on a truly great One Piece video game. It still hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Never will.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to do. It would need to be like a Final Fantasy like level production of like an RPG for it to really even, or even just like a good fighting game. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, anything is possible. The live action adaptation curse was,
True.
decades long, and One Piece blew through that. I think like the anime video game curse probably took Dragon Ball Fighters to, really come out with a great, great video game based on an anime property. Live action adaptations of video games like fucking The Last of Us, incredible, perfect. And that was another thing that for decades was just not a thing. It was always cursed. And even the adaptations of video games in general, like a fucking League of Legends series, like what? That has no business being watchable, and it's one of my favorite TV series of all time. So
No business being watchable was that Twisted Metal series that previewed terribly, and people that watched it actually said it was really good. I was like, what?
Oh, really?
Yeah, suddenly the video game to live action curse has been broken.
Right,
It's
like
just,
that's the thing.
like, I don't know, like suddenly the code was cracked and we got a whole
Exactly.
bunch of adaptations that were like good.
Like
Which is terrifying.
it's truly once these curses get broken, and I mean people like Sonic, right?
Yeah.
People like Mario, people like Detective Pikachu, yeah.
Yeah.
So once these curses get broken, it's like there's really no going back. For some reason, they figured out the formula, and everyone knows what to do now, and that's awesome because we've been getting consistently good video game adaptations, which was unheard of a few years ago. The Yu Yu Hakusho live action was fine. It was not,
we have
not
numbers
bad.
in on that now. 32.1 million views within its first days of release.
Nice.
So it beat Cowboy Bebop's first views
Let's
by
go.
10 million.
Yeah, and like it's so crazy because Cowboy Bebop was Netflix. It was just 2 years ago. It was the same production company as One Piece, and it could have been great. They got Yoko Kanno. They got the original soundtrack. The actors were putting in the work. They were doing fine. It
They
could have been
marketed the
great.
hell out of it too.
Yeah, and then of course it failed in every conceivable way, just as One Piece less than 2 years later, a year and a half later, succeeded in every conceivable way when it had no business doing so. And then it feels like we're in a good spot now. Like we actually have things to look forward to. So yeah, I think the video game thing, I mean, I think people said Odyssey was okay, but I agree. Nobody has been like excited about a One Piece video game yet, and so that's probably the next big thing. Is I mean, if they can do like Dragon Ball Fighters and just have a really great studio, really put their all into making a great video game that really embodies the world of this anime series, this manga series, then that's exactly what we need, and it's absolutely possible, and it would print money if it was a masterpiece. So why not?
Yeah, I'm not saying it won't happen because I do agree. They just need to get a team like Atlas, make like a Persona style game, or Arc System Works to do a fighting game or something. They just need to not give it to just like studio number 20 at video game company C to just like make an anime property game. Like Jump Force was like probably one of the biggest jokes of a game when it came out. It was like, oh, like that should have been the game that propelled anime games to some new echelon, and it was just garbage. So I think it could happen, especially with how far One Piece has come in terms of like people wanting to make great things with that property.
Exactly.
So it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and people, putting in the money and, really supporting the properties. Because, the more success it has, the better of a chance it has. And, what you described, what video games have been doing for anime for decades. And I think it's the same for, like, when every blockbuster movie had to have a video game adaptation, right? They were all just kind of shovelware, reskin a easy engine with your characters, and they're usually, forgettable trash. But whatever, it's a tie-in property, and you get a little bit of extra money without too much effort. And that's how anime has been treated for video games. And, I'd argue that's some of the way that shonen manga has been adapted into anime, where, a lot of Dragon Ball and One Piece and all of these long-running properties have had a lot of years of just kind of going through the motions and, shitting out whatever bare minimum product they can to say that they made an anime. But now that anime has become such a huge global phenomenon and there's such a high standard of quality expected, and, it's getting the numbers that warrant the kind of time and budget and resources behind it to make these, incredible premium AAA adaptations. That's why we're seeing what we're seeing in anime, and there's no reason it shouldn't be happening in video games of properties that big as well.
It's gonna
and
happen.
Live action, like, the live action One Piece was remarkable in that, they kept it with not the biggest names, and they still managed to get the resources they need. I think Oda and Shueisha and some of the executives at the companies that were really passionate about One Piece really made that happen. But, that's how these need to be treated, because I think the live action adaptations, very similarly, they get passed around from studio to studio, staff to staff, and, when they end up getting made, they have this shoestring budget, and they're just like, yeah, shit out something that'll make some money at the Hollywood box office. And it never has any semblance of, what the fans loved about the original property. And it's generally not a decent movie on its own merits, certainly not for fans or critics or anyone, general movie-going audience. So, they need to just kind of stop treating this all like, cheap commodities and embrace the, very passionate fan base behind it, and we get greatness. And we've seen plenty of it already, so if we just keep that rolling, then only good things to be had.
Yeah, I think they could, though, milk it a little bit more. Like, if we're going to be waiting between for, like, more seasons of the live action stuff like that, maybe they give us, like, a mini series where live action Sanji is just, like, doing a cooking show, or, like, I don't know, something.
Imagine how fucking spoiled we are that we're like, you know what property doesn't have enough content coming out? One Piece.
You know what? I need 3 more versions of One Piece to consume right now. I only have about 2 or 3.
You have 2 every week until the heat death of the universe. You have a 3rd probably every few years. Now a 4th probably once a year. So imagine demanding more. In addition to all of the, movies and TV specials and video games that we do get, and, spin-off manga by other creators, etc., etc.
Yeah, true.
It is insane how much One Piece there is.
To say One Piece fans are eating would be an understatement.
Yeah, like I remember the weekend the live action series came out, right? We got a full 8 hours of curse breaking, amazing All of East Blue adaptation. in live action. We got spectacular anime episode that gave us the first new opening in 1,000 years. I mean, the ending that started a few weeks earlier was actually the first in 1,000 years, but that opening definitely was, it overstayed its welcome. So yeah. And it was just a phenomenal episode. Outside of that as well, we got a incredible chapter as well with a big 2-page color spread and color illustration for the cover of Weekly Shonen Jump as well. Like, that was all within the course of, like, I don't know, 48, 72 hours of just One Piece content. I'm like, God damn, we're spoiled.
Yeah. I mean, now I really do understand why people that are fans of other things are like, why not us? Why can't we eat?
Yeah. I mean, at least, Bleach has its little renaissance with an impossibly good anime adaptation of its last manga arc. That's a little consolation prize. But at the end of the day, you got to get through 366 episodes of mostly mediocre Bleach anime. And that has the same issue of, like, not only huge swaths of filler arcs, because the Bleach manga is much less dense than One Piece, but also them tying that into the canon material so you can't just skip them. So, sucks for those fans, because you don't really get to just enjoy the new Bleach, because you gotta kind of, go through the garbage that came before it to get there. So that sucks. Naruto's supposed to get like 4 new episodes or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's something. And
like, yeah, Yu Yu Hakusho, I was thinking about this like literally the night before this was announced, and it was announced at Jump Festa, Japan time, so it was like the middle of the night. So probably, I don't know, 3 to 6 hours before this announcement, I started watching the live action Yu Yu Hakusho series on Netflix, and I haven't watched or read Yu Yu Hakusho in a long time, and so I was thinking about old Yu Yu Hakusho from the beginning as I was seeing the adaptation play out, and I was thinking about, the Hunter x Hunter treatment for that. Of course, an easy candidate. It is literally another Togashi series. And it's been, 31 years since we've got a Yu Yu Hakusho anime. And now it's getting maybe a minor resurgence with the live action adaptation. So, I was thinking about that, and my ideal adaptation of every shonen manga is now just literally Hunter x Hunter. It's literally get Madhouse to do it, get Hirono to compose the music, get everyone to do exactly what they did, whatever crazy fucking magic they work to make that exist. Do that again for every Weekly Shonen Jump series, because they would all be so much better. Like, I think no manga series can be as good, especially in like the shonen formula, can be as good as that level of adaptation of a manga series. So True. Yeah, I was thinking about that as I was watching Yu Yu Hakusho, and so I was thinking about other series it could apply to, and I was thinking about Dragon Ball, and I was thinking about One Piece. And then I woke up and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I had the Enaru face.
A moral of the story, if you're not a One Piece fan in 2023, become one in 2024.
Exactly. Watch The One Piece. I really, really hope I can tell all my friends to just watch The One Piece.
Right.
And they not feel like they're missing out.
They don't have an excuse anymore. It's over for them. It's over for One Piece deniers.
Yeah, absolutely true. Like, no matter what, this is going to be accessible to new fans. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
The One Piece live action is great. It's accessible to new fans. I know a few people who have gotten into the live action series not knowing anything about One Piece and loved it. Extremely accessible. So yeah, there will be just so many avenues you can take, and I think as long as it's good in any way, I'm still going to recommend the shit out of it. But I really want it to be like they are getting the same experience you'd get reading the manga, and it's just, easier to sell most people on animation than manga.
Yeah.
And yeah, The it's probably not going to be Hirano composing it. Like there are hundreds of composers out there that they could choose from. So there's always a chance. He's not working
Yeah.
on much these days. So there's a chance, but certainly not any more likely than anyone else. But I mean, God, exactly what you said. Like the thing that one of the things that I love about Hunter x Hunter, and especially that Madhouse adaptation, and I wrote about this, I specifically said this in my 10 years later article on it a couple
Yeah.
years ago, was that it evokes that sense of adventure that you want all of your shonen manga to give you, all of your shonen anime, that makes you feel like a kid, that makes you feel like you're going on this grand adventure, and really is not the paradigm for shonen manga anymore, if it ever was. And the exceptions are Hunter x Hunter and One Piece. And
Yep.
I think, and the anime adaptation and Hirono's score for it really conveys that better than anything. Like the main leitmotif of Gon and of the series, and the opening theme of that adaptation, which is probably the first true opening theme song of a TV anime that we've gotten since We Are. Every single episode, you cannot deny arrangements of it in the score itself throughout the series. That is the theme of Hunter x Hunter. All of those things are were making me feel like, God, if they gave this treatment to One Piece for all these years, wouldn't that be the perfect match, the match made in heaven? That would be Hunter x Hunter is my third favorite anime of all time, and the One Piece manga is way better than the Hunter x Hunter manga. So, that could easily be my favorite anime of all time if it truly got the Hunter x Hunter treatment in every way. So yeah, as iconic as Kohei Tanaka's score is for One Piece, I got to I appreciate that score way more now because I got to see them perform it in concert this year, and just being reminded of all of those iconic motifs over the course of the 1,000 episodes and their usage and all the ways that they've been reimagined, I appreciate it so much more. But yeah, that Hunter x Hunter score, just every emotion that series goes through, all the crazy rides that it takes you on, he covers all of that in just absolute perfection. So yeah, One Piece would be a perfect candidate for him, but we will see.
I'm glad we both used the Phantom Post to write extensively about how much we love Hirono's soundtrack for Hunter x Hunter, because I also wrote about it on my Blu-ray review years ago.
Oh, awesome. Nice.
Yeah, I listen to that soundtrack all the time too on
Me too.
Spotify, so it's on repeat. It just it gives you that motivational feel that like you said, if One Piece was able to get his talent, it would be perfect.
Yeah. I also, I have all of the soundtracks. But I don't use Spotify. Do you have the 3 TV soundtracks and the 2 movie soundtracks in your stuff you listen to?
I don't have the movie soundtracks. I do have the Tiger Lab vinyls for the TV soundtrack though, which I think comes across 3 discs.
Are those still available? I need to look into that.
I don't know if they are. Those are usually limited release, and I know that when they did release, they went like hotcakes because they were doing alternates where there was the Gon version, the Killua version, the Kurapika version, and there was one other version too. But I got the Gon version for myself, and I got the Killua one for a friend.
Ooh, nice.
But yeah, no, it's a beautiful soundtrack.
That was before my wife forced us to get a vinyl player, and now I want to own all the great anime soundtracks on vinyl. So unfortunately, I missed out there. But yeah, what I was gonna say is, the 2 movie soundtracks. Not only are they also Hirono, but they reused all of those tracks in the actual TV series. So if you want all of the music from the TV series, you got to get those two as well. And they've got some of the best material as well. So
I actually
definitely had those.
I haven't even watched the movies actually. I've
Oh
been
yeah, don't
meaning to, but I
don't.
hear they're not like that
Yeah.
great.
No, the only thing they contributed is two soundtracks.
Okay.
Yeah. but yeah, the the crazy ups and downs that series takes in terms of like tone, the way that he's able to capture all those, like you really see it in the way that the three different TV soundtracks, especially, kind of play out tonally. Because the first arc is just like so fun and ambitious and adventurous, and then when you get to like the Chimera Ant arc, everything is so dark, and you get into like his Death Note kind of material where it's all like very deep dark, and the York New arc as well. You get your Requiems and you know just the kind of stuff that you see from his Death Note work for sure.
It's funny because I used to do this thing where when I would like host people over and we'd like hang out, sometimes I would throw on like a TV show or like something that is like visually stimulating, but I would mute it and put like an album or a playlist on of something else that I thought went well with it. I honestly believe if you put One Piece on and you muted it and you put the Hunter x Hunter soundtrack on, it would work fine. Like if you just like see the Going Merry sailing down the blue and Departure is playing, it would feel right at home.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like that main theme, I think it's called The World of Adventures or something.
Yeah.
Like it, if I didn't watch Hunter x Hunter, I would have been like, oh, this is from One Piece, right? This got to be from One Piece. Yeah. Match made in heaven. Make it happen. Netflix, Shueisha, Wit, Toei, please. Please. That's my only request. That and I don't know, don't cut out and change like 3/4 of the material, please. And I don't know, stick with it. Don't give it to Mappa.
Don't, please. Those poor animators.
Another thing I want to mention, this is actually kind of poetic full circle because, of course they're doing this for the 25th anniversary of the anime, which will be late next year. And, like I said, it makes sense. We can only wait so long to remake it. If it's been a quarter of a century and we're still on the same series, let's just go ahead and remake it. But who animated One Piece before Toei? It was Production IG, and who was split off of Production IG with Studio. So in a way, One Piece is kind of coming home. And that did come out in 1998. So the announcement of the One Piece, was in fact the 25th anniversary of the first One Piece anime, which was the former home of Wit Studio. So full circle there. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I remember seeing, because I've seen people put up clips and stuff of that like original IG version, and I honestly like a lot of the designs from that old one. I think they look really good. Similar to like, I have a similar nostalgia for some of the 90s Hunter x Hunter anime, despite not having watched it myself yet. I feel like some of the visual designs just like worked really well for the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's still worth watching. Like, even though the Madhouse adaptation is much better and, of course covers more and kind of obsoletes it in every way, I think that, of course you get your, 90s film aesthetic charm. It's directed by Kazuhiro Furuhashi. And, of course, he has been on his high lately with Spy Family. And he also did the original Rurouni Kenshin and the prequel OVA, which is, a masterpiece. So I think it has more personality to its direction, I think.
From what I hear, York New is really good in the 90s version because it gets that dark tone a little bit better than the remake.
I think the remake figured out the dark tone pretty perfectly by the time it got to Chimera Ant, but
Mhm.
yeah, the '90s one probably had it a little bit better for York New. I think York New was in the OVA of the '90s one, which was never
Mm.
licensed, so I haven't seen that.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that one was the OVA wasn't directed by Furuhashi. So yeah, I'm not sure how
Hmm.
tonally consistent it is with the TV series. But yeah, the direction's really good. The animation, it's definitely not as consistent. Certainly not. I think the Hunter x Hunter 2011 series is one of the most consistent productions in anime history, which is insane because it's 150 episodes. Um, and I think while it has a lot of great animation, as most Madhouse productions do, I think definitely some of the scenes were better animated in the Nippon TV version, like or Nippon Animation, um, because the one that's coming to mind is like the battles in the tournament arc, the tower, um,
Mm.
like the Hisoka battle. Really good in Madhouse, even better, I think, in Nippon, and a few of the other battles in that arc. Really
Oh
good in the
wow.
'90s one. Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely worth checking out. Very difficult to check out. Like I have the first 3 of the 4 sets that Viz put out from like, random eBay listings over the many years that I've been trying to collect them. I still haven't found the 4th one.
Yeah.
So very difficult to watch illegally, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
worthwhile if you check it out.
I'll have to try to find the time between all the One Piece, and One Piece I'm consuming.
And that's another thing, right? Is like, you know, people are going to watch their 8 episodes of the live action series, or their however many episodes of the new anime, the One Piece, and especially if the latter sticks very closely to the original storyline. What are they going to say? I want more fucking One Piece. Well, lucky you, because this was actually just a trap to get you in the door. Like, they could make one 10-episode season of the One Piece and never touch it again. And that's kind of all they need, because they'll get everyone hooked from that. These people will think that they're going to get the Demon Slayer Jujutsu Kaisen treatment, where they get, a core or two every year or two, and it'll be perfect. But then when they don't, or even if they're just sick of waiting, they're like, well, shit, I know that I could just go pick up the other anime series. It's right here in front of me. I can just binge through that now. And then, boom, that's probably why Toei's funding it, because they're like, all right, more people will watch our show. Or read the manga.
True. True
Yeah.
that.
And yeah, in terms of like what it will look like, of course, we don't know. We have like one little sketch that was released as like promotional material.
Mhm.
Luffy with a windmill off in the distance, nothing to go on at all. I anticipate that, they'll try to do something like Hunter x Hunter again, where it's very close. It's like a balance of what it looked like originally, Oda's current style, because it has evolved a lot. Like, when Chopper's introduced, he's not going to be ugly Chopper, he's going to be cute Chopper from the beginning, so that it'll be consistent throughout, like Hunter x Hunter was.
Boo, bring back Ugly Chopper.
I know. That'll be in
Chopper.
the 5th adaptation. The stop motion one, the Muppet one. The So I think the character designs will be, roughly what Oda has kind of turned them into currently, and, kind of flattened out and simplified to make it work for animation, make it, very consistent throughout. And yeah, that is my expectation at this point. But as you brought up, we're also getting Monsters very soon, like next month.
Oh wow!
And
I thought
that's
that was way off in my mind.
Yeah, they just announced at Jump Festa. Like I said, there's lots of other stuff from Jump Festa. It's just kind of eclipsed by the huge announcements.
Right.
So, Monsters, we already knew we were getting it. It was going to be from Sung Hoo Park's new studio. But what was announced here is that it's going to be Netflix, and that is tying into this announcement, because what Netflix is, putting as their banner here for the One Piece is the live action One Piece poster next to the Monsters poster next to the One Piece. So it's clearly all, part of their synergistic marketing strategy to get all the Oda out there. But yeah, it was announced that it's going to be on Netflix. It's going to be next month. And
Wow.
they put out like the poster and character designs. And, this is Sung-Hoo Park, so we could kind of expect that it would be kind of wild with its animation style. But it doesn't look like Oda's material. And, Wit goes hard. Like, Ranking of Kings goes to some crazy lengths to utilize the animation medium, and I want to see that from One Piece. And I mean, even Toei is doing that with Wano. So I think that they could either choose a very simplified version of Oda's current style that works really well for animators to be able to do whatever they want with it, or they could, kind of already make the character designs a little bit their own thing, and really stand out the way that they did for Monsters. Of course, totally different studio, totally different staff, but the same kind of mentality of, we're going to make this an anime project. It doesn't need to be the manga again, but animated. So I could definitely see it going either of those routes. I think they would be foolish to make it look exactly like Toei made it look, because we already have that. And if we're going to make this stand out, I mean, they're already not taking the most significant strides to make it stand out. All they did was added "the" to the title. So, they don't care that much. They could have easily given it like a subtitle like One Piece. I don't know, all the subtitles I can think of have already been used by video games. But, they could have given it...
Nothing with like a "re" in front of it, please.
It's like, I don't know, Grand Adventure, Grand Odyssey, all these things are already video games. But the One Piece is a fucking stupid name, I'll say that.
We're going to be calling it Top.
Yeah, exactly.
T-O-P.
But aside from that, I would think that since it's going to be airing while the Toei version is still airing, make it as different as possible, but still be as One Piece as possible. That seems like the ideal balance to strike. Because, remakes that are very similar can get away with it if they're the only version of that out right now. This is not the only version of that out right now, so it can't get away with being the exact same thing. And the Toei one has changed aesthetics a lot over the course of 25 years, so it's not like it always looks the same either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it's a difference between, like, similar to how JJK Season 1 and Season 2, like it's trying to still stick to the author's style, but like they're clearly going different paths with it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think the two seasons of JJK certainly have different animation techniques and direction. I don't think they look all that different from each other, though. I think, maybe Full Metal Alchemist, that was an example where we got a remake like less than 5 years after the first one ended. And it was by the same studio. So it could have looked exactly the same, but aesthetically it was very different, and it was a lot closer to the manga style. So that was a big part of that. So I think, that something like Fruits Basket, something like Hunter x Hunter, these ones where, the style gets a lot more modern and a lot closer to the manga version and a lot more consistent. That's kind of where I see this going. But again, we have nothing to go on, and between the liberties that they're willing to take from Oda's art and Monsters, and, how crazy we know Wit can be with animation, I really have no idea, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. I love all the top animators that Toei has been getting and putting out, incredible Sakuga sequences as they have been throughout Wano. But like, some of these animators that primarily work at WIT, they aren't employed by WIT. but you usually see him at WIT. Like Arifumi Imai, God, seeing him take on One Piece is going to be incredible.
Moly.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. Like, God, we're eating good. Like, if this was happening when the One Piece anime was in like its Dressrosa era, like Fishman Island, Punk Hazard, those arcs, I'd be like, God, please, yes, give us some watchable fucking One Piece for a change. But now we're getting it when Toei is putting out the best content Toei's ever put out in their existence every week. So to have that at the same time as this, that will presumably, based on the very strong track record that we've gotten from WIT, also be incredible, especially visually. God, we're so lucky.
Yeah. What other series allots you an hour and a half to just gush about it like this?
An hour and a half to gush about absolutely no information. We know nothing about this.
We know the name and the studio, and we have a single picture that probably took like less than an hour to draw.
Yeah,
a little sketch in the distance. Yeah, a little colored pencil sketch of a hill with Luffy and a windmill.
Incredible.
We could hardly know any less about this, and after an hour and a half, I feel like I could still talk about it for 6 hours.
Like, now we know how the One Piece podcast operates.
Yeah, exactly. I've just been thinking about this nonstop since it was announced. So like 2.5 days. It's just been on my mind constantly, and
my thoughts began and ended at what? Which was everybody's first reaction when this news broke was what?
Yeah,
definitely the first reaction. But yeah, I'm glad I've had a few days to process it, because I've had a lot of these revelations of why it does make sense, and the motivations behind it, and what we can expect from it, or what we should hope from it, what to be worried about. So I've had that time to process it, but I've been so antsy to talk about it. Like, I've been talking about it at length with my friends who have never gotten into One Piece at all and are barely into anime at all, just out of excitement about them having the opportunity to do so without committing to 1,000 episodes right off the bat. And, just the unbelievable announcement that it was, because even if you know nothing about One Piece and you care nothing about One Piece, the idea of a remake while the original is still airing is pretty unprecedented. I think the closest thing I can kind of equate it to is the fact that superhero franchises have like so many different continuities and adaptations of the same material and characters going simultaneously, like how many Batman and Spider-Man series and movies we have coming out in parallel to each other. But this is the same story. It's the same story in the same medium, coming out at the same time. So that's pretty unprecedented. But yeah, it's that's why I was like, I need to fucking record a podcast. I need to talk about this. I need to really talk about this. And talk about it not in text, and talk about it with people who know what we're talking about and have opinions.
Yeah. This is the one episode where it's okay that the rest of the boys aren't here.
Exactly.
Because they would be like, all right, can we talk about something else?
You made me come here for this.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably for the best that Kane and DJ, presumably DJ, couldn't make it, because they would be like, man, I've been sitting here for 2 hours not saying a word.
Twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah. I mean, Kane usually tries to offer some commentary on things that he's not necessarily invested in.
Yeah. And him and his wife watched the live action, right? I think.
I don't know if that's true. My wife watched the live action. But yeah, like I said with my other friends, I was going back and forth with them a bunch, and they don't know anything about it. So everyone can have an opinion on this, especially if you're into anime at all. I mean, hell, half the time we've just been talking about Hunter x Hunter. So, it's just an incredible story, even with the absolute bare bones content that we know right now. So it'll be a very exciting developing story. But it's it's gonna happen. Like with live action adaptations, the thing was always that they would get announced and then never happen. But Netflix is so in on this One Piece train right now, and with anime, generally you get the stuff that gets announced. It doesn't really end up in development hell. The development hell is while it's actively in development and airing, unfortunately.
For real.
But yeah, it's gonna happen. I don't think they've even announced a time frame, but I assume the intention is late next year because that's the actual 25th anniversary of the anime.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wonder if the plan is like, every other year you alternate between a season of live action and a season of the One Piece, right? That's a possibility.
Ooh.
Yeah, who knows? But it's big times for One Piece. Macy's parades and live action series and
That damn
God,
tree.
Yeah, yeah.
Luffy's poor hat. The straw hat became a bucket hat.
Yeah.
I mean, they might as well called it One Piece Festa. I mean, really, what
Yeah.
else really mattered?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I always think that we've reached like the peak of how big One Piece can be and how much we can be getting from it. How huge the news can turn out to be. But these past few years, like you said, it's been the biggest thing in the world since like 2009, easily. Like for many years before that, it was one of the biggest anime and manga franchises. But 2009, when Strong World came out, it became the biggest thing. It never stopped being the biggest thing. It lost some ground in some areas at some times to newcomers like Demon Slayer. But it has, generally consistently been the biggest thing. And then in the past few years, like, when we did our episode with the guys from the One Piece podcast, I just listed off like this huge list of big events around One Piece that happened in just like last summer. And like One Piece Film Red was an enormous success, and that got a bunch of new fans into it with Otto and the whole kind of like idol VTuber angle. And all that music was insanely successful. And then the live action series happened, and it was actually great, and it was actually super successful, and it's getting more. And we had the fucking balloon in the parade, which is crazy. And so now to have this, it's like, how could we have ever expected at this point that we would get bigger One Piece news than has ever happened in 26 and a half years? Like, surely we've exhausted all the possibilities, especially at this
the
point.
biggest news of the year, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Right. So, God, what is the next One Piece news we're going to get that's going to make us go like, the One Piece who? That's last year's news.
Breaking news, Eiichiro Oda devours the devil fruit and becomes an actual Luffy.
Wild.
But yeah, it does kind of suck that basically everything else that could have been announced was eclipsed by it too, because I was like, wow, we're finally getting Ginpachi Sensei news. Oh, it comes out in 2025. Okay. I could stop caring for 2 years.
Yep. Yeah. Fucking crazy. Well, I mean,
Sheesh.
that was all right.
Well, that was all the time we have for the night.
Yeah, probably a solid hour and a half of the One Piece discussion.
We really were pre-podcast like, oh, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we figured it out.
I knew I would have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised it took this long now that I actually have people to talk about it with that know things and have opinions. But yeah, do we want to touch briefly on anything else, or do we just want to call it quits at that?
I feel like anything else won't even matter at this point.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, we've alluded to the live action Yu Yu Hakusho series a few times. I did finish it last night. It's short. It's fine. It's a good little bit of fan service for fans of Yu Yu Hakusho. Get that little nostalgia back. It isn't egregious like most live action adaptations, so solid in that aspect. It's not One Piece. It's nowhere near that level of quality. Wouldn't really recommend it to new fans. But yeah,
Yeah.
better than average.
I know it's a little late to do like a holiday gift guide type thing, but I know usually for your recommendations you do like the latest releases and sales and stuff. We could maybe do just like a little like last minute or like, well, if you got this, you did it right kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Anime
can kind of
Christmas
transition
sale.
into a recommendation section that's kind of more, sale and gift guide focused.
Yeah.
You recommending that giant ass set or can you even get that anymore?
I don't think it's sold out. I haven't heard about it selling out. There's only 3,000 of them. It is immediately obsolete because we're getting new Code Geass already. But yes, it is a fucking beautiful set. If you love Code Geass, then highly recommended.
I wouldn't call it obsolete. I don't know. Like you said, I don't know if those new films are gonna matter.
Yeah, I mean, only because it has the Akito spin-off OVAs and it has the compilation movies and it has the sequel movie. So, obviously the point is that it
Not
is the
all of it.
complete collection of Code Geass anime, but that was immediately disproven. So
That's
bummer
literally how
on
I felt when I got the original complete collection of Futurama, and it comes in like the Bender head,
that.
and then like literally it got revived like 3 more times. So
Yeah. So do you have any particular recommendations or sales or gift
oh
ideas?
no, I was banking all of that on you.
Oh, I
Sorry.
see. Good to know.
Not how this segment usually works.
Let's see. Well, I did not prepare. See, usually, well, we didn't do it last year. Occasionally, we do like a holiday gift guide thing, where I use it as an excuse to rank my top releases for the year.
Oh.
Of course, I did not prepare that, so I can't come up with one now. But the Code Geass one, I mean, it's got to be top, right? Like, that's my ideal release, second only to Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Top 10 anime of all time, absurdly extravagant box set. That is just, they had my picture on their wall when they were planning that out.
Yeah.
So certainly that.
We could also just do that kind of thing, like almost like a holiday wish list. Like, oh, these things are out now, and like, I hope I'm getting this for Christmas. Because
Yeah, there you go.
one of my top ones was they just put out the Masaki Yuasa 5 films collection.
Yep.
And that looks
literally
pretty
today.
neat. Was it today released? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think both of us are pretty huge Yuasa heads, but I think this film collection looks lovely just from the packaging alone, and I mean it includes 5 movies, so Mind Game, 90 Short Walk On Girl, Lou Over the Wall, Ride Your Wave, and Inuo, all of which I think are range from pretty good to excellent films. So definitely worth getting if you are a fan of Masaki Yuasa.
Yeah. I'll say also released today, the Kaguya-sama movie, The First Kiss That Never Ends, it's released today. So with that, you can own all of the Kaguya-sama anime that exists at this point. So we're caught up. Hopefully it'll be pretty quick turnaround time. That was pretty quick turnaround time. It's been, I think, almost exactly a year since it premiered in Japanese theaters. So yeah, we're on a good turnaround with that. Going way back to our first news story, actually, something I meant to mention. The thing that sucks about, ongoing anime series deciding to adapt an arc as a feature film is that inevitably, no matter how good we are about getting anime films in theaters in the US in the 2020s, we're not going to get it when Japan gets it. So unlike simulcast, where you get it, the moment it airs on Japanese TV, we're going to have to wait a few months where everyone in Japan has seen it, and assholes on the internet have watched shitty cam rips and post spoilers. I mean, if you've read the manga, you already know the content, but, that kind of shit happens. So that's unfortunate when compared to getting, just a TV adaptation.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just something I forgot to mention earlier. Yeah, I think those would be my two big anime releases for this month. I just got a Fruits Basket anime book. It's got the mangaka did a bunch of illustrations for the anime. So it's got a bunch of that and a bunch of just content from the anime and from the mangaka herself. So that's good if you love Fruits Basket, especially the remake anime adaptation. So I'll recommend that as well. In terms of sales, the Crunchyroll sale that it has taken over for the Right Stuff holiday sale is still ongoing. What they've been doing, they have their normal sale slate that changes out every week, and they have their normal mega deals that change out every day. So that's all pretty much what we expect. The one thing that Crunchyroll has not yet brought back in the way that Right Stuff did, that I have been most lamenting, is the weekly studio sales. Because that is how I bought everything, right? I waited until the studio sale and I bought, $50 of stuff from that studio to get my free shipping or whatever. And that would get me through a chunk of my to buy list for a given company, especially for manga. They haven't been doing that, and that sucks a lot. And I've been buying a lot less as a result, which is maybe good because I don't have the money or space or time. But what they've been doing on this holiday sale is every week they have a few themed sales within it, and a few of those are always a particular company.
Right now it's Dark Horse and Square Enix.
Yeah. So unfortunately, unlike the Right Stuff weekly studio sales, it's not all of a given company or most of their output or all of their in stock or anything like that. It is very limited selection of each. So, you got to check what they have on sale. You can't just search for your favorite releases from X company. I think it's all exclusively in stock stuff. I don't think there's any pre-orders on sale from anyone. And yeah, very limited selection. You've only got a couple pages of stuff from each. But I will say, nearly all of the Berserk Deluxe editions are currently on sale for that Dark Horse sale. So I recommended all of those, I think last episode, because they did just release the last volume of Miura's content. So you can own all of that in the nice big deluxe editions now. That last volume I think is too new to be on the Crunchyroll sale currently, so you can get 1 through 13 on that. So highly recommend those. Another sale that they're doing right now is some vinyl sale. So if you want a little discount on some vinyl releases, I need to check every day to see if A Silent Voice is back in stock, because I didn't get that, and it was out of stock when I checked yesterday, and I would really love that.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And they still have a few. Let me just pull up the Crunchyroll store sale right now, because some of the ones from previous weeks go for a few weeks, and so there's some overlap. So right now we have, like Kate said, we've got Dark Horse and Square Enix. You can also catch up on the excellent Apothecary Diaries manga, which is well ahead of where the anime is going to get to. Yep, they got bundles of that. They got lots of bundles from lots of companies. They got some Viz in there. They got the vinyl stuff, as we mentioned. What else do we have for good deals here? Mega deals are in their discotheque era, so every day we've got some new discotheque deals on there.
I looked up, just for your case, the Hunter x Hunter Tiger Lab vinyls. They're all out, of course, on Tiger Lab, but on eBay they range from $150 to $500. So yeah.
Great. Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely missed out on all that stuff. These were the things where every time anime vinyl would be announced, I would link it to Kane so I could live vicariously through him without having to spend a bunch of money and space on collecting vinyl. And
Yeah.
then Caitlin got us a vinyl player, so I'm like, all right, shit, I gotta get,
There you go.
the very top priorities when they come out.
Yeah. I finally got those Ghibli 7 inches from Japan, so
Oh, nice.
that's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some Aniplex stuff on sale here. They've been on sale for the whole sale, I think. So, they're not the cheapest still, but they are the cheapest that you can expect Aniplex stuff to get, because generally you do not get much of a discount for that.
No.
Except for the annual holiday sales on Right Stuff and now Crunchyroll. So, yeah. Also, Nozomi, formerly a subsidiary of Right Stuff, I suppose now a subsidiary of Crunchyroll, has a sale on there too, so you can get some of their stuff cheaper. They have a dedicated Gundam sale, so I just got my Blu-ray of 0080 in today from that.
Nice.
If you are a Seed fan and haven't gotten that Ultimate Collector's Edition yet, it is like $80 for I don't know, $250, $300 set. So a lot of savings there if you're into that. So yeah, those are kind of the current sales, and lots of figures, but I don't give a fuck about figures, so I'm not going to tell you about them.
Fair. We're degenerates, but we're not that degenerate.
Yeah.
I guess in terms of not like physical recommendations, but if you can go see, is Boy in the Heron still in theaters?
Oh yeah.
I figure usually the Ghibli movies have longer runs than the other anime movies that come through the US, but yeah, go see that. We didn't really space out the time to talk about it, but I mean, hey, it's always worth seeing a Ghibli movie in theaters.
Yeah, and this is the first one in IMAX too, so if you get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Also, I'd
And-
recommend seeing Godzilla -1 in theaters.
Yeah. Yeah, Kane recommended that last episode, and it happened to converge with I rewatched the last Evangelion movie because the 4K Blu-ray came out, and so after that I decided to watch Ano's Shin movies,
Dude,
and so I
Shin.
happened to have just watched Shin Godzilla, and right when Godzilla -1 came out in the US, and Kane was recommending it, and my friend, who's a huge Godzilla fan, couldn't stop talking about it. He had already seen it like twice before its official release date, and he happened to be coming into town on a layover to Japan, so he was like, let's go fucking watch Godzilla -1 again and go see an IMAX in the Chinese theater. And we were like, sure, all right. And so I watched that, and it was phenomenal. So yeah, all of the pieces kind of just fell into place for watching that in a great setting.
That's
and beautiful. It was really, really good.
Yeah, definitely for me, like a top 5 Godzilla movie. But I was just worried because it was kind of unclear how long it was going to be in theaters. And then, of course, it just keeps getting good press and keeps getting extended. And now I think I saw today it's extended through like the 3rd of January.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go see that. It's a good movie. It's different. I know a lot of people love the legendary American produced ones, but it's definitely divergent in that the legendary movies emulate the era of Godzilla where he's like fighting other monsters and tag teaming with the monsters, and this one is more in line with the original, which is, an atomic bomb allegory and like much more melodramatic than it is big monster fighting.
Yeah. It is much more about human drama than it is about kaiju spectacle.
Yeah, but unlike the shitty Millie Bobby Brown plot lines in the legendary films, the human drama in this movie is really good.
Really good and really well acted.
Yeah.
Which, like, a lot of Japanese cinema, I just feel, especially blockbusters, the acting is just doesn't feel real enough. And this just nails it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess on that note, and tying it into like the podcast theme, the lead actor Ryunosuke Ryunosuke Kamiki, very prominent in anime and live action adaptations of anime. So if you want to really see him in his element, it's a great platform for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think The Boy and the Heron, it's going to kind of be the same story, right? It's been extremely successful in U.S. theaters already, so I think it's going to keep getting extended as well. Japanese films kind of are ruling the U.S. box office right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Wonka just came out, so that's going to take over everything. But last weekend, before Wonka, Boy and the Heron was the #1 film in the country. It earned like $13 million. It's at like 23 million now. It broke all kinds of records for non-franchise anime films in the U.S. and Godzilla was still like #3. So yeah, it's kind of all about Japan in the box office now. Maybe this is what we need to finally get simultaneous releases for Japanese films, because somehow we still aren't getting those. Yeah.
I also was able to go see Tokyo Godfathers in theaters last week, and that's one of my favorite Christmas movies ever. And like being able to see that in theaters is so nice. So
I think if you guys lived in the same area, you would have run into Kane like every time you went to the theaters.
Really?
He he doesn't go to the theaters often, but what he's seen in the theaters in the past couple weeks is Godzilla -1, The Boy and the Heron, and Tokyo Godfathers.
Yeah, I literally in a span of 4 days I saw those 3 movies in theaters, and I also am like, it's hard to drag me out to the theater sometimes. But yeah, it had to happen that way.
I went to the theaters 3 times this weekend. And none of them were weeb things. I can't remember everything I saw. Yeah, none of them were even remotely weeb things.
That's crazy. What did you see?
I saw Wonka, The Zone of Interest, and Poor Things. And on Saturday, I will be seeing All of Us Strangers.
Oh, how was Poor Things?
Poor Things was excellent. Highly recommended.
I've already bought my tickets for the Gurren Lagann theatrical releases in January. And
yeah.
That's exciting.
I am going to attempt 4D for the first time.
Dude, I wasn't, I don't know. I kind of want to, because like it sounds like it would be fucking crazy, but I don't know. I wasn't convinced, and the tickets are like $50 or some shit, or 25, I think.
25, but it's 50 because you have 2 films.
It's 50 because it's 2 films, and also I bought 2 tickets to each movie because I'm like, I'm gonna drag someone to this movie with me.
Nice.
So
nice. Where'd you?
That would have been $200.
Where'd you buy those tickets?
So there's a Regal by me, but the thing is, I saw Godzilla at that Regal, and it's always hit or miss when I go to it, because if it's not in the IMAX theater they have there, it's like pretty meh. Like when I saw Godzilla, you could clearly hear the movie next to us during some of the scenes, and that was kind of annoying. But I saw Tokyo Godfathers at there's an AMC downtown, and that one was excellent quality and just like amazing. So I might even just see if I can it's way easier for me to get to that Regal, but I might return those Gurren Lagann tickets just to get the best experience I can and go to that AMC, because like I want to experience those like as best as I can.
But where did you buy the tickets?
I think I bought them like directly through
Raider,
the AMC website. Oh,
Raider.
Why?
All right.
Wait.
Well, you'll return them. I work for Fandango.
Oh wait, you do? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I've worked there for a year and a half.
That's why he's always like, pre-order your tickets through Fandango.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all making sense now. I use Fandango for a lot of like the like G Kids and stuff releases, but okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, now I know.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I've always avoided 4D because I'm like, that sounds fucking distracting. I want to watch a movie, not go on a theme park ride. And that's probably still true, but I let people talk me into trying it out this time, and like the whole big thing about this 15-year anniversary re-release is that it's going to be in 4D, and the Regal downtown is showing it in 4D. So I was like, all right, and they're free for me, so whatever. So I was like, all right, I'll try it. I mean, at the end of the day, these are films that I've seen many times that are compilations of a series that I've seen a million times. So if I get a little distracted, whatever.
Oh man, you might just convince me to forfeit going with someone else to just go to the 4D by myself. I might do it. Oh no.
All right. It has been 2 hours, and Kate is telling us to wrap it up. And we have talked about one news story that has no information for nearly the entire time.
Yeah.
New world record.
Yeah. So yeah, you can find Fandom Post Radio anywhere you find podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You use Spotify. Do they do podcasts for the Spotify Wrap, Brandon?
I think so.
They do.
Okay.
They do. I saw it in the Friends.
Cool. Yeah, so get us on your Spotify Wrapped. We're on SoundCloud. We are on fandompost.com. Follow us on social media. Get in contact with us. Tell us your thoughts on any of the stuff we've been talking about. Thoughts on The One Piece. Anything you want to send us. Fandom Post Radio. We're on Twitter and Facebook. We can be reached via email, fandompostradio@gmail.com. I am on Twitter at FullMetalKyoma. I don't think I've posted too much. I was going to talk about The One Piece a bunch, but guess what? Twitter's like 280 characters, and I just talked about it for 2 hours, so probably not the best platform for that. So yeah, just listen to me on here probably, and I write stuff occasionally. That's about it.
You can find me at Hellshake Brando on most of the socials. It's a busy time of year, so not too much going on besides the podcast stuff. So look forward to whether I'm on the year-end review or not, because shit's busy. But yeah.
We'll get you on the best of 2023 next year at least. We'll make sure that we do that whenever everyone's available.
Nice. Love it.
You can find me at thefandompost.com. I am reviewing Dr. Stone, and I am behind in reviewing Dr. Stone. And I am up to date on Apothecary Diaries with reviewing that. I am also continuing to review books and manga, and those should be up whenever they get posted. You can track me down on the interwebs if you really need to. I am on Blue Sky. I check that occasionally. Twitter is unusable, and I do not go there anymore.
But what about the Twitter?
The Twitter is the broken.
Yeah.
The Facebook.
They need to announce.
Yes, I'm still calling it Twitter. I am not calling it what. Every time anybody calls it, says the word X, like it's just like a fetish for Elon Musk. So no,
True.
That is banned now.
Oh, by the way, super last minute inserting another news thing in here. Kaiju number 8 is going to be simulcast on Crunchyroll and Twitter.
What?
Yep, that's a thing.
Not a good platform for that.
Huh?
Nope. Yeah.
Okay.
So another piece of weird Jump Festa news that got eclipsed.
Wow.
I mean, good for them if they want to use up as much bandwidth and cost Musk box how much money he can possibly lose on that website. So
Musky roll.
Drain the
no, that's
Musk
you
swamp.
now you've cursed us with the name of this episode by saying that.
We can't talk about One Piece for 2 hours and then name the episode after
Musky
Elon Musk.
roll. Yeah. No, not happening. Anyway, that's the thing.
You're wrong.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us, and tune in next time for another episode of Fandom Post Radio.
The Fandom Post Radio.
Ooh, yes.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Later.